And here's a bit more. The next day, being 2 days before Christmas, town was packed. And just like every year, there were the last-minute shoppers, men rushing into the lingerie departments at the big stores, panicked suddenly on discovering they had no idea of their wife or girlfriend's size. Others rushed around, grabbing the first things they saw and hoping it would be all right. Those sensible enough to have already done most of their Christmas shopping were strolling along, taking their time and enjoying leisurely lunches in the restaurants, bars and cafes. Jane and her mother had found a cafe in St. John's Place, right in the open concourse. Jane liked it. She could see the people go by with their bags of shopping, the overexcited little children, and she could hear the Christmas carols and songs being played in some of the nearby shops. Her mother interrupted her thoughts. "When you were a little girl, you used to get so excited at Christmas. Was all I could do to get you to go to bed. And every department store or shopping centre we stopped at, you had to stop to see Father Christmas. I remember one year you were in hospital. You'd barely been put back on the ward after that first operation, and one of the older children was going round telling the younger ones there was no such thing as Father Christmas. You didn't half give the kid a telling off. By the time you finished with him, he was cowering over in the corner." Jane smiled. "I remember that, and if I also remember correctly, I was the one who got a telling off for upsetting a patient." Jane's mother looked far away, as if reliving some moment in time all over again. "You always did have a straightforward approach." Sipping on their tea in thoughtful silence for a little while, Mrs. Albright was the one to break it. "So, come on, why don't you tell me about your life this summer, since you've been away?" Mitch had been in every conceivable shop looking for presents. There was just one more thing he needed. Having stared in the window of H. Samuel's, he finally got the courage to go inside. For Jane, Christmas Day began when her mother knocked on the door, announcing it was 10 o'clock and would she like a cup of tea. Jane smiled, threw off the covers and called out that she would indeed like a cup of tea. The turkey had been slow cooking all night, and most of the other preparations, the vegetables and various other trimmings, were ready to be put on to simmer. She was just puzzled by one thing. She hadn't heard from Mitch for the last couple of days. She hoped everything was all right. As she padded into the living room and spotted her brother was still asleep, the blanket tucked around his neck and one arm peeping out from under it, she grinned. Shaking him gently, she called his name to wake him up. "Tony, come on, wake up! Oi, lazy bones, come on!" Sitting up and smiling, Tony rubbed his eyes. "What time is it?" he asked sleepily. "Merry Christmas, sis." She was just wondering whether Mitch was actually going to turn up when the phone rang. Picking it up, she answered. "Hello, Jane speaking. Merry Christmas." There was a chuckle on the other end before a familiar voice answered. "Well, same to you, sweetheart, and how are you?" Jane smiled. "Hello yourself. I wondered what happened to you the last couple of days. Go off me, did you?" she teased him lightly. "You scallywag." "Actually, I was getting your Christmas presents, and believe me, what they say about men and shopping is all true." Jane laughed. "Yeah, I can imagine it is. So what time will you be over?" she asked him. "Give us about half an hour. I've still got a couple of things to wrap." He smiled in amusement as he heard the laughter at the other end again. "Typical man. Why am I not surprised?" "I'll see you in half an hour." "See you then. I love you." Jane was shocked at the spontaneous confession. As yet, the L word had not come up. She supposed they hadn't wanted to jinx it by saying such a thing. "Love you too. Bye." As she hung up the phone, her mother came in with the tea. "What's the matter with you? Win the lottery, did you?" "Something like that," replied Jane.